and just gone down themselves. I don't know if you'll have the opportunity to go to Haiti again, whether that will be on your agenda or another trip similar to it. But I strongly recommend it because I was terribly nervous, as were we all, going down there, because you're getting close to graduation. You've been through clinical rotations. This will be your first. This is our fifth, and still, as of yet, many of us don't feel experienced enough to kind of walk on our own to practice and do clinically what each of our preceptors has guided us into doing. So my preceptorships, my clinical experiences have all been kind of really guided experiences. They kind of hold your hand, they walk you through it, and you might be responsible for doing one aspect of the treatment or another aspect of the treatment. But this was much more different than that, in that when we went down there, you were responsible for, right from the very beginning, the whole aspect of caring for, whether it was a child or an adult, collecting the subjective information, collecting a chief complaint and a history of present illness, reviewing their systems, doing a physical exam, and then coming up with an assessment and plan, like you might be expected to do in each of your clinical rotations. But it was without a lot of, there were two professors there with us to guide us, but it was kind of on our own. It really felt like you were the practitioner and doing all of this. And so in that sense, it was really transformative. I feel now like the people who told us about it last year felt, in that I feel like I could be a practitioner. And I just want to say to the people, because I'm gearing this largely toward the people who prospectively go, to the people who didn't have the opportunity to go, you should search out something to do, whether it's with ESF, because ESF does go down there on a regular basis, and you could do it without being a student of Drexel, or you could seek out, there's organizations called Cross-Cultural Solutions and so forth that do similar things. And I just think it was so transformative that I would advise both the people who didn't have the opportunity to do it, whether it was because they have obligations to their family or couldn't financially afford it, or the people who are looking to do it in the future, to actually do it, because it was a really profound and transformative experience. That experience we had with that class, and the news coverage from CNN and MSNBC about the earthquake, and I guess I wasn't prepared for the amount of profound poverty that they experience in Haiti. I guess you should understand that it's not like the poverty you experience in the United States. Maybe outside of, and I've been thinking about it, maybe Appalachia, they have similar levels of poverty, I would guess, but it's not like the poverty you see in certain sections of Philadelphia or New York. It's really profound poverty, but it's economic or financial poverty. It's not spiritual or emotional poverty, in that they were still very kind of uplifted, upbeat, and they had a kind of zest for life. That of the trip were those patient experiences, because you got a sense that those people, unlike a lot of the people I see in each of my rotations, because each of my rotations have been with like middle class, upper middle class, largely Caucasian people, not a lot of minority experience. They don't really appreciate, or I get a sense, I should be careful, you don't get a sense that they appreciate your being there and what you're doing for them to the level that the people in Haiti did. And that was very important. Beyond that, and I'd have to say even more than that, the camaraderie that developed between the people that went down there, the 8 students and the 2 professors, and also the people that we met and were our translators or interpreters down there. There was you'll learn to see the people that you went down there with in a very different light. You wouldn't tell if you knew where I live now. It's largely out in the country, but I'm more a city person than a country person, so I could appreciate the urban aspect of being in Port-au-Prince, but it was there was a lot of pollution, so that because of the lack of infrastructure, they don't have a lot of sanitation, and there was a lot of like trash in the street, and the smell of both smog and exhaust, and the smell of waste that was sometimes overwhelming. But I appreciate it for what it was. It just, if I'd had to pick something that I would change or was my least favorite, it would be those 3 aspects. The conditions that we've seen, and I guess everybody will mention a few of them. We saw a lot of dermatological conditions, a lot of tropical diseases, fungal infections of the skin, for example. Women